So before you remove your drape, you're gonna make sure you have those lines where you want them. Make sure that this is trued up. I'm giving myself a single notch there so I don't accidentally reverse the direction when I sew. And dot in my waist real carefully to the center. Okay, and then on the underneath part, I want to also make sure I sketch in that line. I don't care too much about the side of the yoke because it's going to mirror the left. And then my side seam here, and I'm now ready with this side as well. Make sure I have all the marks before I start removing things. So I'm going to true up the yoke first. Again, don't remove things until you know where those lines all are. May I borrow your ruler, Michelle? And come back to me. Okay, so this yoke is going to be cut 2 because the yoke cleans itself on top. So up here we need a 1/4 seam, and so I can bring that here to the center, and I'm going to do this on the fold because I want it to be exactly the same to both sides. So I want 1/4 of an inch above my waist and 1/2 inch at the bottom, because this is like a facing, this part, okay? And at the bottom here, this needs to be at 1/2. And if your muslin's a little short, you see mine came up a tiny bit short in places. I was probably too deep there. And then this is at 1/2 inch. Okay, now I need to have a notch in the center. And I need to clean that up on paper, right? So I also want to have a notch here. Okay, back piece. I'm not doing the 1 inch anymore. I'm doing 1/2 inch zipper seams. And this one's going to be cut 2 because it cleans itself. And then this is going to be, you can use the straighter part of your French curve or a hip curve to get that shape. And this is my side seam here. So that's 1/2. And you see how important it is to know where that notch is, otherwise I was thinking that might be my side seam. So the notches are good to draw before you remove. And then your 1/2 inch down below. And this one is going to be to cut 4. Okay, so I want to make sure these two are compatible. It's a little bit off on the muslin cut, so when I get to the paper, I want to make sure those are an exact match. Okay, so clean that up a little bit. Okay, So that I will transfer to the paper, clean it up real nice, and do my markings, and I'll put it up there later. Okay, so the next thing I need is my skirt. I'm gonna take the under pieces first. This was a question posed. Again, you want to make sure you have both sides of where that tuck is. You want to have your shape, your basic shape, and you can clean that up a little bit, flat pattern as well if it's not just right. And then I have another much larger pleat right here. So I want my notches. Oops, I want the notch here. A little bit further. Not this one. Okay, and then I also want to know where my center was. So this, let's see if that was the center. Yeah, that's my center front. Okay, so I need to know where center front is. All right. I have that marked from earlier, so I'll take that off, clean that up. Before I start working on that, I want to make sure these guys are all talking to each other, and that I have the right marks. Now, I can get rid of this dark here by smoothing this out and then raising the dart right back in there and then remarking that. I can do that flat pattern, or I can do it on the form. Because I don't want to have that much ease, I don't want buckling. So I'm going to actually drape that out here and then get, this is the line I want. Which means this needs to come up a little bit here too, right? In order to match. Okay. Same thing here. Right now I have the excess, but I don't want to sew the darts, so I'm going to show you a flat pattern how to get rid of that. It's a little bit bigger on the back. If you wanted to sew the dart on the back, if you have a lot there, it wouldn't be terrible. But I think there's a better way to get rid of it. Okay, so you guys know how to go from here, right? So I'll clean this up. I think I'm going to want to fill this in rather than cut it away, because I like the way this line looks, so I'll just bring it right around like that when I true everything up. And I'm going to need, since this was where I marked my waist, I'm going to need to clean this up as well with my seam allowance, because I cut a little too close. Here I've got plenty for that. Okay, looks like a caveman skirt or something. All right, now I'll take this, and again with your tools you can make this a little bit better. So that was the old notch. So do you see how the dart there is now here? I just transferred over and I raised my waist just a little bit there to kind of just pull that dart out. And then I brought this line in. It had been here and now it's coming over more like this. So this is my center front. What I need it to match with is this plus seam allowance, right? So this needs to be the same as well. Okay, so that's a true in place. All right, now I kind of like the length right here where I have this 1 inch turned up. So I'm gonna keep that. Add my 1/2 inch to this. Add my 1/2 inch to this. 1/2 and 1/2. And then I'll do like a 1 inch hem down here. This is on the fold. I'll do the Miss Davis method. And now I can true up the back the same way. Now on the back, this was the extension here where this line was. So again, I only want a 1/2 inch zipper. So I'm going to add a 1/2 inch here. This is a 1/2 inch here. This is a 1/2 inch up here. But before I do that, I need to decide, do I sew this little dart or do I get rid of it? So let's see what the back looks like. That's how much it needs to come out. Right, in order to line up with this piece, it needs to sew to this. I've got my notch here on the top, but now this is way over, so I've got to move this notch. Use this as my ending point. And you can see that since I did that on the front, now this curve is pretty similar, right? So I'm going to go ahead and bring that dart right out of the side seam. And then get these guys to line up together. My 1/2 inch seam allowance. And let's see how this goes. That's pretty close, so I'm going to accept it. And then again, you know, put your markings in and so forth. This is cut to, we're calling this style 156, size 8, cut to, and then your initials or your name, so I know if they get separated. 156, size 8, cut 1.